Welcome, connoisseurs of fine common cardboard, to tonight's live stream. We'll be with you shortly. Connoisseurs of fine common cardboard, it is time for the one set review. Welcome. Welcome, connoisseurs of fine common cardboard, to tonight's live stream. I'm so glad to have you all here. As you can see, I have become completed. And with me, I have a couple of dear friends of mine from the Magic community here in Bellingham, Washington. This right here is my good friend Zach and my good friend Min, who I've been playing Pauper with for a really long time. So we're going to get into a set review. They're going to have a microphone. They'll be able to talk. They'll be able to bring up cards. We're going to start by looking at the commanders that we have in this new set. And then we're going to move on to some of the cards that you might play in the 99. So let's get over to this, and then we'll have you to introduce yourselves. What's up?
Hey.
Is that a little higher?
Hey, I'm Zach. You might also know me as Brew Bear on the Discord. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to having Infect coming back, but not quite.
Yeah, how do you think about that, man?
Hey, my name is Min, and I really like Infect in Modern, so I'm quite excited to see where this will turn out.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll have you guys hold this one. This
Yeah.
will be the mic for you guys. You might get a little bit of double audio, so let's see if we can. Yeah, we're here at the Common Connoisseurs, we're playing with all sorts of weird and unusual ways of communicating with you, the viewers, in new and novel ways. So we're gonna test this out. There may be a little bit of double audio from me and from the mics, but we'll do our best. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, and the other option we could do too is we could also just use this for the microphone. Maybe that would be better. Let's do that. So we're going to have this as the talking stick, which is going to be fine. So speaking of Infect, one of the commanders that we're going to be looking at has gotten a lot of attention. I think you've probably seen the spoilers on this. You may not have. This is it is called is Simic, and it is called Tainted Observer. And I think I do want to start off with this one because it's in some ways going to set the tone for like how we're comparing these things to each other and what already exists. Tainted Observer reads, it's Simic, it's colorless, green, and a blue for a Phyrexian bird. It's a 2/3 flying. It has Toxic 1. For those of you that don't know Toxic, it functions almost identically to Poisonous, except that I believe it is Poisonous is a trigger, whereas Toxic, it's one of them is not a trigger, and that's the only difference. So it's basically the same thing. When you deal combat damage, you're going to give an infect to the player, regardless of the damage you deal. Yeah. So yeah, actually that's perfect if you can pull that up there. So essentially, like, this is going to be a way to generate some infect on people on an evasive body, but it's the next thing, which is whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you can pay 2 colorless, and if you can proliferate. And now this card alone is not necessarily the kind of card that we'd get really excited about, except for the fact that the set is incredibly parasitic around Toxic. There's so much blue and green stuff that is just downright playable. They printed Experimental Augury, which is a 2-mana instant impulse, basically, that proliferates. It gives poison counters and things of that nature. So this one right here has me really interested. What do you all think about when you see Tainted Observer?
Well, I see it as like a really good grinding control deck with it just like a doom clock ticking down. You just give everybody that Toxic 1. You just have to hit them with the flyer, and they might not, they might be just accepting of that. It's not in the same threat. The initial hit is not the same threat as a lot of Voltron commanders are. Where like, oh, I have to kill this because it's gonna kill me. It will kill you, but it'll kill you in a lot of turns.
But not fast.
Not fast.
Yeah, and this is something that we see as kind of like a hallmark of, in my opinion, what effective, successful. Right, and I think that's kind of where the Tainted Observer comes in.
I think the 2/3 body for 3 mana is quite solid, especially because it has flying and evasion. It's interesting that it's a 2/3 though, because generally when you have a flying creature, you want them to be a 3/2, just because you're not. Usually, flying creatures are lower in stat than their non-flying counterparts, just because they have flying on top of it. So usually, you want flying creatures to be maxed out on their power, just because you want them to attack.
Right. Yeah. The interesting thing about this one, though, when we think about that sort of dynamic, is that it's not about the damage so much, right? It's about the poison counter that they get. And so one of the things that I thought about when I was looking at this is the proliferate could be for choose any number of types of permanents, give them another counter. So when we're wanting to incentivize creatures coming into the battlefield, things like token generators come into and big mana token generators, something free like Scatter the Seeds or things like that, where you're able to repeatedly put or single time put like a ton of stuff into the battlefield and then just pay for all the triggers to proliferate like a crazy number of times. So it's almost like with the tokens being potentially a part of this strategy, the fact that it's 3 toughness means that it is the thing that doesn't die to Fiery Cannonade and Breath Weapon, which is somewhat relevant in this case. So it's almost like, because I think you're right, like the 3 power would be premium, but in this case, I think it's almost better that it's like a little tougher because then it doesn't die. So this one's definitely. As we go along here, what we're gonna see that this is probably one of the best creatures from this new set in the command zone. There's a lot of chatter about it, and I feel like it's probably justified. So the other thing you could do with this too, that if you're able to make infinite mana in the game,
in the game.
So flicker, wow, that's actually extra disgusting. I didn't think about that until just now. So yeah, if you the combination we're talking about would be
just infinite mana. If you just had like
lots
a lot
of mana
over like 2 turns, you could just end the game.
Right, right.
And assuming you're getting toxic or infect other source, they should be dead.
Yeah, I think that's another way to look at this too. And maybe over time we'll come to learn that this is actually a bigger deal than we thought. Like in terms of like it might actually be a little more threatening than we thought because it doesn't have to hard combo to just kill you, right? Or to kill 2 players even. And so maybe there's a player in the game that you're not that concerned about, and you start proliferating when you only have counters on 2 people, eliminate them, and then the last person is just not able to touch you, and that's okay. So definitely like a lot of power here. And as we go through the stream, feel free to leave any questions you have, any comments about things that you think are going to be premium in this set as well, and we'll be sure to answer them to the best of our abilities. So, okay, so Tainted Observer, we moved a little bit ahead here. Let's go back up to the top here. Did you have something you wanted to comment on with that? Or?
Just that like recently I was reading Toxic again. I was reading that card actually, and I realized that it was only combat damage that.
Good point. So no Viridian Longbow, no Hermetic Steady, no Psionic Gift.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I wonder too with creatures that have some sort of like an ETB proliferate effect, that's also going to be proliferating everybody else. So you're going to get twice the amount of stuff. I think that this might actually push out a lot of infect, which is terrifying. And perhaps that is something that places it in a more dangerous position as it than we are anticipating. So, going through these creatures, let's start with the Annex Sentry here. We have a 3-mana 1/4 Toxic 1. When it enters the battlefield, you can exile target creature or artifact an opponent controls with mana value 3 or less until it leaves the battlefield. So this is kind of like a Brutal Cathar, Fiend Hunter type effect on a 1/4. Pretty beefy. Also an artifact creature. It's a cleric. The Phyrexian type probably doesn't matter here. Interesting, right? Like 3 mana part of it could be a commander. What's nice about that is that if you are flickering it, then they're not getting their commander back because it just went to the command zone. So that's one way to look at that, right? Is like these effects are like permanently removing something into the command zone, and then you can bring it back. So mono white not known for its fantastic removal in this format, but perhaps this is one of the ways that we could actually accomplish that. Did you see anything that caught your eye from the set when we were going through this?
I think that a few of the
Charforger.
Yeah,
let's talk about this one here. I don't know if he's in chat right now, but Puzzlebox played this on stream last night. This is starting to look like maybe one of the better First Day of Class combo decks. And for those of you who don't know, First Day of Class is a 2-mana instant in red. Basically any creature that enters the battlefield under your control is going to come in with a +1/+1 counter on it, and then it has Learn, I believe, which is.
And you forget Haste.
Yeah. And Haste.
That was a big
Haste is a really big deal.
Because you can just make a bunch of Haste Storm creatures.
Yep. Absolutely. And so with that deck in red-black is kind of the best colors for it in a lot of ways because you have to have red for the First Day of Class. You can also do it in green with the Persist combos with like Ivy Lane Denizen or with the Master Chef. There's some other stuff you can do there, but red-black does seem to be a really good home for it. There's like Putrid Goblin. You've got your Skirk Prospector, which is tutorable with Goblin Matron. And so there's a lot of cool stuff there too. You get some outlets as well for payoffs, like with the what is it called, the Darkweller Oracle. which is the 2 mana card. You can pay 1 to exile cards. But this card does Dark Dweller Oracle when you make infinite ETBs. So you don't need to make infinite mana with this to draw your whole deck. Right, so this is what's really interesting about this, is that potentially you could have like a Mog Raider, which I don't know if that would be the best one, maybe a Carrion Feeder, and you do first day of class Putrid Goblin, you start sacking them, and what it's saying here is that every time another creature or artifact you control is going into the graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on it. Well, if nobody stops you, you say, I put 900 oil counters on it, I repeat this loop 900 times, and then I exile all the cards off the top of my library. Yeah, you're good. Exile as many cards as I want off the top of my library, and I can play that card this turn.
Right.
Play the card this turn also means lands, which is huge. This is really interesting. We've got Jin Shooting Star here saying, "Hey, yo, what's up, dude? Good to see you."
Hey.
What did you want to say about Charforger?
I also just like that it you don't have to use it all right away, right?
Yep, that's right.
That you can sit on this 3 turns, and then when it goes to get removed, or or on the turn, when you have to have something, that's when you're going to go off and do it.
Right.
If somebody's going to combo off against you, and you have 6 oil counters on there, which is, I think, a very reasonable, easy number.
Totally. Pull 3 off, draw 2 cards.
Draw 2 cards. Did I get the answer? Yes, no. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting. It's kind of like, it's also making a body, which is kind of interesting. It's also a goblin body, which is relevant. There's a lot of things we can do with goblins. And the making of food for the thing. There's a lot of things that are like self-contained here. You've got your infinite mana outlet. You've got your way of getting the card that you need eventually for that outlet. So if all you have is Skirk Prospector, Putrid Goblin, and First Day of Class, all of which are tutorable. You can Shred Memory for First Day. You can Goblin Matron for a ton of different Goblin out. Right, Putrid Goblin or Skirk Prospector.
Right.
And then if you can make infinite mana, then you can cast Charforger as many times as you need. If they counter it, then you just cast it again because you've got infinite mana. As long as you've got another black, that would be the main thing. You have to have 2 black if somebody was to counter it coming down then. So doing so is going to mean that anytime you assemble that combo, you're going to have the ability to present lethal on that turn and basically draw what you need to go off. So let me get my audio volume here a little bit higher just to make sure you all are able to hear me and Zach here. So this is really cool. I'm interested. This is kind of like what we've been looking for. People try to put First Day of Class combo in Mayhem Devil.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really worked.
There isn't the card tutoring for this, but this one gives you card advantage.
Yeah, it does. That's huge.
Instead of, like, Mayhem Devil has a lot more of just removal.
Yeah, right.
But this one is the much better combo.
Totally.
If you were to just staple this into the Mayhem Devil deck.
Oh, this would be disgusting as a card in the 99 for Mayhem Devil, right? Like, oh my god.
No, I meant just like, keep the 99 the same. Just
swap it over. Yeah.
If you saw like just all mid-range decks that are not gonna like get burned out by this Mayhem Devil, like this would be a solid swap to it.
And I guess the difference too is that Mayhem Devil, we're looking at a card that is the payoff for an infinite combo. You kill everybody on the spot, whereas this is actually, it's much better, it feels like, to have a thing that is generating card advantage, is making a body. It's like an outlet as well. So it's a lot of things going on here, and I think this is pretty exciting. We've got Thanatos, also known as Praxia Mogamesh, in our Discord channel, saying, are we going alphabetical? I suspect that we are. Yes, we are going alphabetical. So I think that's a lot about Charforger here. I think this is exciting. For those of you who've been really eager to do like Rakdos Persist combo stuff, Charforger is going to be fantastic. This is going to be a really great commander for you to check out. Also, being a 2/3 means it's not dying to the Fiery Cannonade and the Breath Weapon too, which is nice. So the next one I wanted to talk about here is Cephalopod Sentry. No, you didn't miss the squid. You're all good, Thanatos. We're going to get you. This card has me really interested. Artifact, Azorius, 5 toughness. 5 toughness is like functionally dead to very few red spells. Scred.
Yep.
And Magmatic Sinkhole. And
it doesn't die to
the Swirling Sandstorm. It doesn't die to that. It doesn't die to the non-artifact, so it doesn't die to Go for the Throat.
Or Terror.
Or Terror, yep. And Go for the Throat's this is huge, right? Like Go for the Throat is sometimes a spell that when decks have black in it and they're a combo deck, so they don't play a lot of removal, they'll have like a removal spell or two in it, and sometimes it's Go for the Throat because it's just the best removal spell probably in the format in terms of flexibility. So you can't kill that with this, which is definitely good. The thing I'm seeing about it is that we've had this whole pattern of like the big blue artifact decks. This kind of looks like that.
It does.
Just like, and these artifacts never go away, and so it never gets smaller. So if I'm reading this correct, it kind of looks like Crackling Drake and Night Veil Predator. Right, and the reason I mentioned Night Veil Predator is just because the lifelink and the ability to just like have a low threat count and just like gain life through it by putting it on this is going to be amazing. So and you're getting all the tutors for it, like Heliod's Pilgrim, you're getting Totem Guide Heartbeast, you're getting Shrine Steward to find cards that are really dumb. What's the one, the white blue? When a creature is white blue, it gives it unblockable and lifelink and +2/+2.
Yeah.
So.
Steel.
Steal the Godhead. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So definitely, I mean, there's a lot going. It has built-in evasion. It doesn't draw a card like Crackling Drake does. It doesn't have Death Touch like Night Veil Predator. But
like the one thing that white is absolutely king at is protecting a creature.
Yes.
Right.
This thing.
Which makes me think that this is like very comparable to Drake.
Yeah.
In that, certain builds of Drake, anyways, where the goal of the deck is to play the early game as a controlling deck.
Totally.
And then swing with the Drake in the end and finish the game.
Yeah.
And Drake, you always had to count on haste.
Yes.
Right? That was the way that you could get Drake to connect. Whereas this one, you have the two best colors to keep your creature alive.
And to stay alive. And I think like this is something I wanted to mention about this too. Like Crackling Drake does have the problem of just dying to random shit in combat. And there's no way to get that life back. So when there is one way. Command Performance, 1 out of 3 games. If you draw it, it will have the lifelink thing on it, and that is the thing you can do. You could also play Pristine Talisman, but I think that the lack of like the strong presence of pips in that deck makes it really hard to have a colorless source. So you're kind of stuck with like whatever damage you take early on. Like you live with that for the rest of the game, and it will inform your choices about like who you have to kill sometimes, or whether you can even swing. And that's why we see a lot of these control decks going towards more creature-heavy builds. So some of the things that I'm excited about with Cephalopod Sentry, if you'd hold this for a moment, let's do Rarity, Common, Power Stone type creature. There is a couple of cards. Coilless Rock, which is a 3/3 flyer with flash that makes a Power Stone. Power Stones are going to be amazing in this deck. We also get Stone Retrieval Unit here, which is just a 4-mana 3/2 that comes in and makes a Power Stone. So what we're really looking at is a 4-mana tapped rock that comes on a body that's also 2 artifacts. The other one is only 1 artifact. But basically, like stuff like this is going to make Cephalopod Sentry so big so quick. Like so. If our turn is turn 1 Arcane or turn 2 Arcane Signet, like turn 3 we go something like maybe we play, because I'm thinking this is going to be like a 15 rock, 20 rock deck or something crazy. So if you go 3 rocks out so turn 2, turn 3 you do 2 more rocks, turn 4 play this with a counter spell up, it is already 1, 2, 3, 4 power, right? Which is great.
And that's one of your lands is an artifact.
Like a 4 or 5 flyer for 4 the moment it comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, this seems kind of disgusting the more I think about it, actually. We'll be able to play blockers. It doesn't get cranial plating, which is a shame, but I think we also get stuff like we get ancestral. What's it called? Ethereal armor. That's an option. We could have like aura type effects in here. It doesn't need to be a one-shot though for this to be really good.
Right. This one, like somewhat unlike Drake, I think that you can count on this hitting somebody twice.
Yeah.
And that's acceptable.
Yeah, and it's also not going to be a thing that if you take a single hit from it, you have to decide whether you're going to die or not this turn. So I think that there's some element of this that I like, and that we can just like, it's kind of like a brawling deck a little bit more, instead of a crackling drake deck where you're like, you need to hit somebody and kill them with it. Otherwise, if it sits in play, people are like, dude, I could just die to this next turn, and so then you start to have to deal with it. Jin Shooting Star says this is with this plating would be so damn good. It really would, though. I think I'm okay with the fact that we don't have plating in other colors, though, so that's fine. Like a blue plating would be completely unacceptable. You know, although a blue plating with some of the white effects that switch your power and toughness would be fucking hilarious. If there was a plating that gave toughness thing, yeah, that would be pretty funny. And that actually, you know, that's something we could look into as well here. So definitely exciting. I think this will definitely be like in the top 5 alongside the Polluted Observer. So Thanatos says, what's the search phrase for counter spells? So what I would do is R:C O:"counter O:"spell. Oh, yeah, even better. Yeah, sorry, this is great. So you go function : counter spell, like that. And this is actually a really cool. You do function : and then you do rarity common, like that. And then we're gonna get all the counter spells we can play. I forget that like there's amazing people out there that have basically gone through and tagged these cards independently, like a meta tag that tells you whether it's a counter or not. So yeah, that's a great recommendation. Okay, so we've also got Jin Shooting Star saying Haunted Cloak, and actually we're gonna switch mics over here, and then we're just gonna sit closer.
Okay.
Yeah, like this, because this is just so much better like that, and we've just got us two, so this is fine. Okay, cool. So Jin Shooting Star says Haunted Cloak. This is a favorite of Zach's. He's absolutely a stand for this card. Yeah. Whether it's in the Walking House, what's it called? The Walking Skyscraper.
Skyscraper, yeah.
Skyscraper, or whether it's in or really like in Temur Sabertooth, you play it there too. It's going to be great. So I think that's going to be powerful.
That's trying to attack.
And Vigilance, once we give it lifelink, is really fucking huge. I mean, this is like
this beats most creatures. Like 5 toughness is bigger than most things can attack into.
Yeah, and we're in white, so we can give it first strike, we can give it lifelink, we can give it like a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
What I like about this is that like we're able to protect it with the best colors for protection in the game.
Yeah.
White and blue are amazing in this format for hexproof, for things like that. And then you're also getting things that we struggle for in Night Veil Predator. I've played a lot of Night Veil Predator, and one of the things that we have specifically put in the deck is Vigilance, because you can't just have this one threat, and we've got a lot of lifelink too. This one here, we could easily give this Vigilance in white. All these auras are going to stack up. Potentially playing more into equipment, I think maybe that's better now that I think about it, because it's all artifacts, right? So all the artifacts are making it bigger. So every artifact is +1/+1 for the Sentry. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, this is an amazing commander. We're definitely going to be doing a Let's build. Maybe that would be a fun one to do. We do a Let's build around this. Yeah, let's do it. Because I think this will join, and this is really like one of the things I say in my primer with Crackling Drake, is that Night Veil Predator and Crackling Drake are really similar in the way that the game plan is very late game. You know, you're kind of like, you're not looking to finish the game super early, at least in my builds of Crackling Drake, which are not combo oriented. They're just Voltron control. This one here is going to kind of be in that trifecta where it's like, you want to have a Voltron commander, this is a great one to do it. I love that when it dies, it doesn't get any smaller. It's only ever getting bigger. You're going to play this late game sometimes, and it's just going to be so unreasonably huge.
Yeah, it's gonna one-shot people. In the late game.
I think there's gonna be times too where we just like somebody like oubliettes this, and we just don't fucking care because we have all the white things to destroy those things.
Yeah.
I
Enchantment removal
love it.
is actually quite.
We got Thanatos saying here, Moxfield sets it to common. I'm posting my list so far in the Discord. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm eager to see what you come up with there. So. Great. So we've gotten a couple. We've got Charforger, Cephalopod. We've got the Simic one. Those 3 are probably going to be some of our better uncommon creatures. There's a number of these that I'm less enthusiastic about because of how parasitic they are around oil counters and toxic.
Yeah.
So like this one right here costs 1 less for each permanent you control with an oil counter on it.
I wish it just said counter.
Just counter would be really cool, and then it would be Hamza, right? It would be like, you know, something like Hamza. For those of you who don't know, Hamza I think is 5 or 6 mana. It's a 4/5/5 I think, so it's probably 6 mana.
Yeah, it's 6 mana 4/4.
And its cost is reduced by 1 for every counter you have in play, I think. And then it also
each permanent with a counter on it.
Yeah.
So you want a lot of creatures.
And then it
counters.
reduces the cost as well for those creatures when you cast them. A very, very disgusting aggro deck that Noyark likes to play. Every time I've let this resolve and live, I have lost. And it was because the first time it was just like so bad. Like he would just vomit everything onto his. He had one turn where he went lead the Stampede, drew 4 creatures, cast 3 of them for free because they were all artifact creatures, and then one of them was 1 mana, and it was like what was it? It was like a 4/4 for 5 that drew a card on ETB. It was just so much, and it was like the damage was already done. It didn't matter that Hamza was out anymore. So not to get too distracted with Hamza, but that's kind of what I'm seeing if this had been printed better. We got Jen saying, I had a hard time find the 5 cards good enough for CEDH. Meanwhile, PDH, it's a brewer's paradise. Yeah, I mean, CEDH, I couldn't really speak to it because I don't have as much experience. You have a little bit of it, but...
honestly, I didn't look at the rares.
Yeah, I know. This is what you'll commonly find with me and my community of people in this area here is that many of us literally don't look at cards that don't have R:C next to them, or R:U type creature. That's kind of the reality. Like, if it's not one of those, I don't really care. So it's one of those things where I wouldn't be able to help with that either. But the reality is, like, in Pauper Commander, you get so much stuff every set. It's absolutely crazy. Come on in.
Unless it's the new Atraxa.
Oh, the new Atraxa. Yeah. You're hype on the new Atraxa. So, yeah, peace out, guys. Have a good one. We got a whole party full of Magic players out here right now. So, okay. So, moving on from there, my eyes are glazing over some of these other ones. Like, what about Furnace Punisher? The beginning of each player's upkeep, it deals 2 damage to that player. Nope, 2 or more basic lands. That's obviously going to have that.
In this format.
Yep. Let's see. So this one allows you to put oil counters. No, not good enough. Necrogen.
I wish this said poison counter. Anytime an opponent got a poison counter, they got an additional one.
Every time they get a counter. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, so what we're going to find is that this set is super parasitic, which is just unfortunate. I mean, they could have, like, printed this differently, and it would have been...
If it just said anytime an opponent gains a poison counter...
It's like, could it just be a poison counter? Like, that would be amazing. Doubling up on poison counters, you would definitely be interested.
I would play this,
and it's also, like, target creature with toxic. It's like, you're never going to have enough toxic creatures to, like, make this work.
Or if it said toxic or infect.
Which would have been cool, because it's like, it's a 1/5 in Golgari. That's, like, stats that matter. 5 toughness creature in a pestilence deck is, like, an issue, oftentimes.
Oxidda Finisher.
Okay,
actually.
So this one, All right, Chad mono red lovers, rejoice. I think this is actually really interesting. This is like that kind of text affinity for things in the command zone is decidedly broken. Like Aethersworn Sphinx. So you go like what? Like turn 1 Bone Splitter, turn 2 some other thing. You could like potentially play this out. You don't even have to play this fast, right?
No. I mean, there are like I think like 12-ish 0 mana equipments.
Oh my God! So you could totally just go like
you could turn 2 this if you wanted.
Yeah.
The 0 mana equipments generally don't.
They're not very.
Some of them are actually quite good, but they cost a lot of mana to equip.
Yes.
And so for me, the comparison for this card is Dargo. Right, 7/5 trample with it costs a lot less to cast.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And in that way, it compares unfavorably. But Dargo has this problem of you sacrificed all of your board and all of your hand to get Dargo down as early as possible.
And this is just, once you've got the equipment in play, you replay this over and over again.
Yes.
Right? And
you can recast this.
Yeah.
But also you can spend your mana equipping. Which is like having a card in hand, right? I'm developing my board by spending my mana.
Yeah.
Which Dargo just runs out of cards. Totally. After Dargo's down, they don't do anything but attack.
Yeah. And this can be cast and recast over and over again.
Yeah.
With this deck here, because Oxidda Finisher would be a big part of our strategy, I would be playing all of the relevant like sack removal effects like Heartfire and collateral damage, because the one thing you can't have happen is Oubliette.
You're just wrecked.
I'm gonna let you take this over for a sec. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go talk to someone here real quick, and so you can expound on this.
Yeah, let's see what we have for 0 mana equipment. So we're gonna go equip, and I think it's MV for mana value, and we want less than 2. Less than 2, sorry. And we want type equipment. And rarity common. All right. So we're coming up with 43 cards that are 0 or 1 mana. And haste is going to be a big one because this one you can cast a couple of times. So you actually have a few equipment that give haste, and a bunch that give flying as well, which is going to make this just kill people.
Yeah. 7 is very relevant.
Yeah.
7 is 1 away from a 2-shot.
And since you're playing equipment, you are actually like very likely to get to that.
Pray tell, have you talked about the double strike effects?
I have not.
Because so for those of you who are on stream, Clay and I did a really fun build together with Dargo Essior.
Yeah.
Because I figured Dargo would. Dargo doesn't need to have protection because it is generally you can recast it. It's not too bad. But like, what if we just gave Dargo Ward 3? And we had another threat that like we can attach those equipments to. And what we realized is the double strike is fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Because you're playing a deck with counter spells, and so you're like Assault Strobe. My Dargo has Bone Splitter on it. You haven't been hit yet, and now you're gonna die. And somebody's like, "Oh God, I have to stop them," and you're like, "Ward 3 and my counter spells."
Yeah.
So and like blue protection and stuff like that. So what I'm seeing here is like Assault Strobe, Uncaged Fury, Teamer Battle Rage, the Raking Claws, Buccaneer. Well, no, it's not a pirate, right? Please don't tell me. Okay.
It's not a pirate. It's an ogre
it's
rebel.
A warrior, a rebel. Okay, rebel. Oh, it's a rebel. Interesting. We got a couple chats here. We've got it would have been a problem in all the other formats. Interesting. Are you talking about Oubliette or and then Jin Shooting Star saying ogre or monkey? I think monkey, honestly. Like this is not an ogre. Like, come on, Watsy. It's a fucking monkey, dude.
That's a gorilla.
It's a gorilla. It's a big fucking gorilla. And maybe this is the best reason to play this. Is it's just a fucking huge gorilla. And like. And you all know I don't often like dip into the casual side of things, but I actually think there's some teeth to this, and the fact that it's it's a monkey, it's a gorilla makes it all the better. Gorilla hit you, you're dead.
Yeah.
The haste is big. It's marginal for us to put +1 power on this. It's marginal
you have to
give
play
a double strike, right? 5 double strike effects, and haste is everything about this works. Yeah. And actually, as we go through the set review, you're going to see that there are a ton of red equipments that come with a creature on them too, and they're really cheap equip costs. So we're going to get to that later on too. So we got Thanatos saying list posted toxic. Toxic would have been a problem if they had worded it differently. Well, I think toxic is going to be fine in certain contexts. I think that the Overseer card is going to be really good, and the toxic is going to help you start the infecting. But aside from that, I do think that toxic is going to be fairly worthless in the long stream of things. The toxic mites are not going to do anything. People are going to get poison counters that just don't matter.
One upside is that you do still deal regular damage, so you're not getting no payoff like infect creatures do if you don't finish the game on them. They still have dealt normal life damage.
Yeah, that is actually something that's really nice about it, is that the toxic isn't taking away from your ability to play in other decks.
Right.
Which I think which is important. Like that's one of the things about the toxic that I was concerned about that isn't an issue. So now we're gonna briefly mention Paladin of Predation here.
It's a two-header.
Okay, so So this is a big dumb creature. Green does have quite a bit of protection if you're willing to pay the mana for it.
Yeah,
It's just that the best ones are 1 mana, and there's only 4 of them. There's also like Gaia's Touch, or I think it's Gaia's something, and then there's a bunch of 2 and 3 mana ones too. You're gonna need Hexproof and protection and regeneration for this.
Yeah,
and you're gonna need
unfortunately,
so much mana.
regeneration removes it from combat.
That's true. Regeneration also kind of a bummer too. So something like Broken Fall,
Mhm.
not great that way.
Yeah.
The only reason I mention it is this thing has 7 toughness and it's toxic 6 and it has evasion. It's also Phyrexian, which means that Embiggen works with it. Like there's some stuff here. It's not going to be my deck. I can see you building this though. That's the thing. If you all
Just
don't know
getting to 7
Broodbear like
mana.
I do, but this guy loves this kind of stuff.
I do love just slamming the
6
biggest thing and just having that get there.
I think there's a good chance you hit somebody for 6, and then you turn your attention elsewhere, and then you just use the proliferate cards to get them to 10. So it's like hit, proliferate, just like up,
4?
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like that might be much, but maybe you hit, kill somebody, and then hit another person, and then you just proliferate on 2. So there's some interesting stuff there. It's
expensive, but it is a terrifying card.
If somebody counters this, you're just like
it feels terrible,
you're
right?
just out of the game.
Yeah, so you have to really this is like a 9 mana spell.
Yeah, it is.
You
need protection.
Up for it.
Like you're gonna be playing a lot of ramp in this deck, and we're gonna have to figure out a way to like have some card advantage. Our permanents are gonna. I just don't know, but it is something worth mentioning. So
it is cool.
Yeah,
I would love to just 2-hit people with this.
It'd be fantastic.
It would feel great.
So Fargo Retro, what's up, dude? Glad to have you here. Saying I like Toxic backing up a Fin strategy. Yeah, totally. And we're gonna talk about the commons when we get there. The Toxic does stack with that, which is really effective. I'm not sure the depth at CDH pool or the CPDH pool, but I'm interested in casual tables. Yeah, for sure. Right. And this will definitely be a good casual commander as well. Yeah. So
good take, Fargo.
Yeah. And then let's see, at the beginning of combat, creatures you control. Oh, if it gets toxic, this is trash. So enters the battlefield. So this is 4 mana. You have to sack a creature unless they have 3 poisons. Not going to be any good because the poison part of it. Okay, so this one.
That's the next one.
Yeah, this one right here. I don't know what to think about this. However, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get an oil counter, and then you can remove the oil counters to loot.
Well, no, you draw a card. You may discard a card.
You may.
So it's just draw a card.
Well, we got to read this, okay, because it's more than that.
Yeah.
Remove 3 oil counters, draw a card, then you may discard a non-land card, and if you do, it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Only activate as a sorcery. Why do they gotta do this?
Hype, crash.
Yeah,
yeah.
So, because what this is gonna take is that we resolve it, we start doing the thing.
Yep.
And then somebody goes to stop you, and you're like hexproof, and then everything you do is just gonna be at sorcery speed, which maybe is good enough.
It's still
this terrifies me, and that like if this resolves, like it's gotta go because this is gonna kill everything in play.
Yep.
I think that commanders traditionally that have removal staped onto them, repeatable removal, they rightfully scare people. Like you should be concerned about it, and you should be seeking to kill it. It is a 2/4. Which is good. It is an Is-It, which is going to be great colors for protecting it. It's also going to have removal outside of the command zone.
Yeah.
It's getting to do the thing with non-creature. You need to have 3 oil counters though too. So 3 non-creature spells. That does draw you a card.
But this is a storm deck.
Yeah.
In the end,
that's right. Yeah, Spellslinger. We're going to be playing a lot of cheap spells, a lot of cantrips, a lot of draw. This will see play. I don't think it would be my cup of tea. But it is evasive. It's thick, it draws cards, and it kills things, which checks a lot of boxes.
It does. And
and it probably builds itself too, because like the non-creature spells, when you get into Spellslinger, there's just spells that you play. Like you play all the cheap bolts, you're gonna play like all the counter spells, you're gonna play all the hexproof, you're gonna play the good blue draw spells. This deck probably needs to have a fair bit of mana in it too, which is an interesting tension. Oh, non-creature.
It's non-creature, so you do get it for all the rocks. Yeah.
Okay. No. All right. I take this back. Non-creature means rocks. That's really, really big deal.
Yeah.
Because my concern in something like this is that we just don't ever get enough counters. Maybe we only get the counters on our opponent's turn. And if we do, then if somebody kills it, then we can't sorcery speed use the ability.
That is why it was a crash, right? It was oh, I get to play control and then get that extra piece of removal and the extra draw. Like I do really like that it is a May to discard. If there's nothing important, you just draw a card.
You just draw a card. That's you know what? I give this like a B+. I think there's like a lot of potential here. There are strong limitations potentially to this ability, but like if you imagine that there's just nothing you need to kill, you're casting spells, you get up to like 6 of them, you just have draw 2 on your commander, which is great.
Which is very reasonable.
And the fact is that the non-creature part of it means that if you're playing a lot of mana rocks, so that you can always play, like you can do a big blue thing with this too, where you've got lots of mana rocks, and when I talk about lots, I'm talking 15 to 20. Okay, and that means you're never ever going to get priced out of your commander. You can always recast it. All your top decks get better because it's not like Witherbloom Apprentice, where sometimes you draw things and you're like, this doesn't trigger, but I wanted it in the deck because it does good things. It's very similar to Third Path Iconoclast, actually, where it's like non-creature means every draw is potentially good. Every draw is a third of a card. So that's really good. And actually, that text is almost identical to Armix. It says, Armix reads, discard a card in your hand, kill something. Turn any card into your hand into a kill spell. This says, you could draw a card, and then you discard a non-land card, and then it kills something. So if you don't need the cantrip, you just fucking kill somebody. If you don't need your mana rock, you just kill somebody. Or you kill something. And so, I don't know. You could also use, you're never going to be targeting this, really, so you could put Cloud of the Dominus on it. That's also good. That turns it into a 4-power, hexproof, flying, hasty creature, which means that it's a 4-shot in the air. Pretty good, and it's a good blocker too. So this is good actually. It took me a second to kind of process what was going on there, but
my worry is that if you try and build up the counters, it becomes more and more enticing to kill it. And the fact that it's a sorcery makes it really difficult. If you have when you use those counters, you're going to have to go all in on one turn.
Yep, that's right. And if you start doing it, and you're going to have protection for it too, which we can manage. Like we've got we have tons of ways to protect it, so I'm not super concerned about that element. But I think that you're right. Like the sorcery speed thing, it's probably a good limitation now that I think about it. Like maybe this would be like kind of broken otherwise, but. Which I'm actually fine with. Broken decks in Pauper Commander don't always win more. Like I see this with Sailor's Bane. Like you have to play that deck perfectly, communicate effectively with the table, and not make mistakes, and then you can win. And your wins feel really fucking good. But people see a Ward 4 7/7 come down for 2 mana, and they're like, "That's unacceptable. Fuck this player up." And that's why my deck is now got 13 creatures in it. Because it's
you need to block.
I have to block. I feel like, and so people who sometimes will play decks where they're like, I just want to be the problem. I'm ready to be arch enemy. It's like, no, you're not. 3v1 in a format where the answers are so much better than the threats is completely unreasonable.
So tough.
And so a card like this having some limitations to it's a good thing. It maybe it's it's better for you that you're this is not instant speed. Okay, so what is this one here? Toxic Toque whenever... This is trash. Okay, cool. So we got the Tainted Observer. For those of you that came late, we did talk about this. This is disgusting.
So good.
The thing that clicked for me was when we talked about the Flicker Drake combo. So you're going to play all the Archaeomancers. You play lots of ramp. You have Peregrine Drake. If you Peregrine Drake Ghostly Flicker, you make infinite mana, and then you infinite proliferate, right? So this is a built-in self-contained win con with Peregrine Drake Ghostly Flicker.
If you can get the toxic on
if you can, so if you can get a counter on everybody, which we're gonna find out from the comments is easy. Especially with a little flyer for 3 that can hit people. Okay, so we've got that. Oh wow, so there's actually not a huge number of them. Is this really all of the uncommons? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So this one here, whenever you proliferate, no, that's not going to be good enough. This one only makes the 4/4s as long as it's in play, which is awful. If this was flickerable to continually turn artifact creatures or artifacts into 4/4s, this would be a different story. But it's until as long as it remains on the battlefield.
Yeah, I was
awful.
wondering if there was like a one of the like old O-ring text where you could flicker it
with that on the stack.
With it on the stack, but no, it's on the same
no,
lines.
That's right. Okay, good. So we've gotten through the uncommons here. We also had this one here, when at ETB proliferate with Toxic 3. Okay. That is actually so when at ETB. So we're not gonna have. Oh man, if this was a common, this would be so cool with Temur Sabertooth, right? Like you could do stuff with this, and stuff right?
With
but this is probably not good.
No, it's not there.
Cool name though, Venomous Brutalizer.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Like the art, like there's a lot to like about that card. It's just not the text on it.
Yeah, yeah. Also, like this, dude, the art in this set is so disturbing.
Oh.
Look at this thing. It's like just vomiting, like just belching, like mist out, and it's like Slaughtersinger. This is not a very white-green name. I'm just gonna point out there. This is like very Rakdos, like Slaughtersinger. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
After giving into the thrill of the hunt, he could never again return to the quiet of the Basilica. Yeah, outcast. He's too angry. Okay, good. So we've gone through these. That was a good exploration there. Let's go to our commons now. And I'm excited about this because I admit I've posted on Twitter a couple of times that the set was not good and it hasn't been good. It's just that it's parasitic and that there's a lot of the commanders only work because of the cards now that are printed in this set. And the cards don't go in like a wide array of decks. No. There are some examples. The first one we're going to see here is like this Anoint with Affliction. This is like black staple removal in the format now.
That's great.
Yeah, this is an example of something that does go in a lot of other decks, and that's great. I wanted to see more of this. It's just a little more inbred in this meta here with this set. It's just a lot of toxic.
It still wants the poison, but this one, mana 3 or less is a lot.
Yeah. This is so the card that this is a direct upgrade on is called Grotesque Demise, which is instant speed, 3 mana, but it's power. So it's actually like a lot worse in some ways. It's worse and better. This exiles every combo creature in the format, except for Dargo, which is really important. That's really good. It exiles things that we don't want to come back, which is good.
Yeah.
This one here is mana value. So most commanders are going to probably fall into this, I think, because we want to play cheap commanders. So 3 or more poison. This is never going to matter. This is just 2 mana. This is just another Doomblade.
Unless your deck is infect, which like you can make that choice.
I don't know how you do that. Like, how do you put poison counters on people effectively in black? It's not looking likely.
You know, one of my very first decks.
Mono black infect. Yeah,
it was Golgari infect.
Yeah. There's cards like Rouse and Howl from Beyond and stuff. You know,
no, it's not a realistic thing.
But there are cards like this. This was a card that I saw today for the first time. This card made me think Temur Sabertooth.
The Vigilance is great. The Proliferate is really good. For Sabertooth.
It's a 3/2 vigilant body that you can reuse over and over again. Like there's a lot to like here. This is also great for Finn. Finn the Fangbearer, buff something up with vigilance and +2/+2 if you need to get through, or you can just proliferate and give more counters.
Right.
So early, it's really interesting. So yeah, we got Thanatos saying it's not great design for this format, but it's one of the best designed draft sets I've seen in a while. Oh, that's interesting. I don't honestly draft, so I couldn't comment on that, but I'll take your word for it. And that's great.
That tends to be the case for those
point.
really inbred. Lots of synergies.
They're not going to be good for modern. They're not going to be good for legacy. They're going to be mainly
good for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine because really, like, we have to be realistic. The WotC designs for draft. That is like their
that's where
money.
They sell product.
That's where they sell product. Yeah. That's it. So that's fine. So this is interesting. Definitely one to look at. I've seen people pointing out Annihilating Glare on Twitter. This is another in a long line of Bone Splinter type cards, where it's 1 mana, sorcery, destroy a creature or Planeswalker, which Planeswalker part might be relevant someday. So just keep that on your radar. You know, I think that this is a reality. We may see it someday. That it's possible that we'll get a rules change around that. So Annihilating Glare, 1 mana. The thing that I like about this is Artifact.
Yep.
That right there is the one thing the other ones haven't had. I think there might be one that says Artifact, but like...
And you can pay for stuff out on this, right? You can pay 5 mana, right?
Yeah, you
can.
Yeah, which is
an option.
Yeah, you can do that, right? Artifact, creature. It's just the part of this that I really don't like is sorcery, and I don't know why they keep printing cards like this because
these are very reasonable to be instants.
Yeah, they're totally reasonable to be instants. Like, yeah, like it costs you a lot to like play this card in your deck. I don't know why they're sorcery. It just feels like a really big mistake to do that because you're trading 2 cards for 1. It should be a 1 mana instant, right? This like
if this was a 1 mana instant, I would consider.
I think if any of these were instants, we would be looking at these in a lot more decks because these
I think like is one
that's instant. Oh, Mutual Destruction. I think it's card, but it has to have flash. The creature you sack has to have flash.
Okay, so it's so restricted.
Yeah, it just sucks.
Okay.
So I don't know why they do this, but yeah.
It gains flash. You don't have to sacrifice a creature with flash, but you have to have a creature or permanent with flash or something.
Oh,
like
that's right. Yeah. Mutual Destruction. Oh, it has flash as long as you control permanent with flash.
So
yeah, that's just
but that
so
pool
tragic.
is so small.
And sacrifice a creature too, so it's like a body. I don't know. There could be a world where you have a black-based aristocrat deck that's like happy to turn its bodies into removal for cheap. There might be a world like that. But more, I mean, the nice if it was instant speed, we could at least sacrifice the thing that's dying.
Yeah.
If something is dying, then we could sack it like a gut deck, right? It could be like,
oh, you're blocking my thing. All right.
Okay, sack it, do it, destroy something, right?
Yeah.
It just kneecaps it. So at instant, it would be a problem in draft potentially, maybe. I don't know. Is it?
If you find the deck for all of these, let us know.
Yeah, totally. Because I think there's enough of them. There's like 5 or 6 of these, maybe more.
I think there's more. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6.
Okay, so this one's interesting here. This is one of the few cards that we have that actually grants something the ability to do poison. It grants toxic. However, it doesn't matter. So moving on. Okay, so we've got, here's the first in the long line of cards that go into Monkey, Gorilla, Ogre, Oxidda,
Rebel.
Smasher, dude. This card is crazy good. All right, 3 mana for a 3/2 artifact creature.
3/1. It's plus
3/1, sorry, 3/1.
Yeah.
And it's equipped for 1.
That's pretty reasonable.
This is great. It's a body, it's equipment. This is also going to be great in Bruenor Battlehammer. I think that the Bruenor Battlehammer deck just got absolutely pushed this set because it always wanted creatures that could also be loaded up with equipment because you don't want automatic, easy, right? Like Bruenor Battlehammer is kind of like Satyr Enchanter. It's
3/1 double strike is pretty
it's really scary, dude.
Yeah.
And I think that the part of it is like Bruenor Battlehammer wants to create tension between people killing it and killing the things that have the equipment on it. And I think you want to create that cognitive dissonance for your opponents, and this is one of the ways you do that. You load this up.
This one's really good in Coal too.
Oh, great!
Because it kills the creature.
Oh, whoa.
It kills 1 toughness creatures.
Damn! So for 1 mana, you can kill 1 toughness creatures repeatedly.
So if they haven't entered the battlefield,
like a skull
trigger
clamp almost. Holy shit.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, like a skull clamp type thing. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes out. I think this is you've been working on Coal for a long time.
I've been working on Coal. I have I have like 80 cards over there that just need to pull 20 of them out and put the lands in.
So we've got Kryn Findolin saying, does the sea plan 60 card affinity as a kill spell? Maybe. Sorcery speed is just so god awful, and they've already got. In 60 card, the kill spells are Cast Down and Galvanic Blast, which are just so good. Yeah. It's like instant speed, unconditional, and then you've got your Galvanic Blast, which is also damage. So I do think we'd be hard pressed to see these 1 mana sorcery speed cards that take a card from you working, but you could be doing it alongside Mycosynth Wellspring. You could do it alongside Ichor Wellspring. You could do it alongside Chromatic Stars, but I just don't think that in 60 card that works. So Thanatos says Standard and Pioneer and Modern as well. This card is nuts. Kryn Findolin says this is absolutely going in my cube. Yeah, I think this is a great cube card too. The big thing is that it's leaving behind value. It's kind of like any card that when it dies, it still leaves behind value is really, really important. So the other thing is you can actually remove the equipment from this and it doesn't die.
Right. Right,
That's
unlike
huge.
the germ token.
Yeah, the germ token you take away, it's a 0/0, right? And it's a 2/2. So it's a 2/2 for 2.
Right.
It's a 3/1 for 1. I mean, it's just great. I love this. Instant speed removal is only beaten by a draw card spells in terms of power and draft and in most 60 card formats. I think that's reasonable.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe that would be. Maybe the part of it where, because the way those removal spells would often function is someone would kill your creature and you would sack it in response and kill theirs. So it would slow down draft quite a bit, maybe if it was too good.
That's true.
So it does say draw a card, kind of. Yeah, this does. Yeah, that's the way to look at this. This is kind of like you're getting 2 cards for 1.
Draw 2/2.
Body and a 2/2 body and equipment.
Right. Or yeah.
So we're gonna see a couple of these. I did want to talk about Basilica Shephard. I don't know if my evaluation on this is right. It's like 3/3 flyer that makes 2 bodies that are artifacts, and because these mites are artifacts.
Yeah.
So with a Great Desert Prospector, this increases the number of creatures you have by 3. It's also a creature that you could potentially return with like Core Skyfisher and some of the return effects. It's not amazing, but yeah, they can't block. That's the thing that really kills the mite tokens, is that they don't block. But you cast Guardian Pledge on your board, and these 1/1s become 3/3s. So there's that. There's ways to make them bigger.
I think that there's like, I could see this card being played in 60 card in the ones that were playing the evoke creature that gave you two 1/1s.
So any sort of ephemerate type stuff with this is really good. It's just, in white, you're paired with flicker effects. In a white blue deck, you can flicker it even better. I just think that 3/3 flyers is really good right now.
It is.
Like flyers are fucking amazing in Pauper Commander right now. So
not killing the whole 3/3 flyer is good.
Yeah, it's great. And so it's also a body that doesn't die to Cannonade, that makes bodies that do. So that's really good because you can flicker it to get the bodies back.
Yeah.
Can't block sucks. It just sucks. There's nothing to say about it. These spell bombs are basically unplayable, and I'm really frustrated with them. Yeah, they all say sorcery speed. There's a couple of them that we'll talk about that are fine. This one here. Okay, the thing that I like about them is that they can just be sacked to draw a card. They're tutorable with Trinket Mage. And the effects are actually decent. It's just that it's all as a sorcery.
Yeah.
You do draw a card, though, both ways, which is cool. So you give something flying. I actually wonder, is this good in... does this play in Illuminator Virtuoso?
This one? No. Doesn't target. 4 mana.
Oh, the spell doesn't target. The
spell
ability
doesn't target,
does. Yeah, okay, got it. Yep. That makes sense. So yeah, these are mostly trash, but there's a couple of them that we'll look at. All right, so this thing right here, this is probably the highlight of this set review in a lot of ways. In terms of cards that are really interesting, really powerful, and like Anoint with Affliction is just like, oh, this is a great 2-mana kill spell. This has so much text on it. 3 mana 2/3 with evasion that reduces the cost of equipment and reduces the cost for equipping it with equipment.
Yeah, that's
this
very
card
cool.
is fucking dumb. What?
Yeah,
there's so many trash commons in this set, and this is like not them, like at all. Like this could play in other formats. There's stuff going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is wild. Yeah, Jin Shooting Star says this is so good. Yeah, for sure. And we've got some other comments here. Thanatos says it's 5 power for a 5. It's push to attack. Was that for the last one that we were looking at? Oh yeah. So it's 5 power for 5. Yeah, no, that's great for sure, and it's evasive. Yeah. So okay. So Bruenor Battlehammer. Let's pull up Bruenor really quick. Bruenor. Which, by the way, I just want to mention, I have the entire Forgotten Realms series in storage. I loved those books as a kid so much. Like I don't think I related more strongly to a character in a book than Driss Duerden. I feel like a lot of people do, because like growing up in the age that we were in, being a nerd wasn't cool, and like having a character who felt like an outcast who was like good on the inside was like very relatable. And Bruenor Battlehammer is one of the most beloved fantasy characters of all time for a reason. He like drinks heavily, he's gruff, he loves his kids, and he's violent. Like you know, he's a badass, right? So how does this work with this creature? So each creature you control, so basically what we're looking at is this is only the first equip, but like
so you equip the big thing, and then you equip all the smaller stuff to this.
Damn, this is like, so the first one you equip to it, and then the stuff that's one equip. So you put like your Great Axe. You move Great Axe over for free. And then this one, That's free with the last card we looked at. That is free equip.
Yeah.
With Batterfist. It's free equip with Bone Splitter.
Yeah.
It's free equip with all sorts of stuff. I mean, this is the threat that you are like happy to load up. This thing's gonna get really scary really quick. So yeah. There are uncommons that are at that rarity, so commons like this are... there are uncommons that are at that rarity, so cards like this are common. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time parsing the English on this. Maybe I'm stupid. Are you able to parse what that means? I think he's making a comparison to like why this is okay, because I'm commenting on like this seems crazy compared to the other things that are around it. It can be a common. Okay, is what you're saying. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm just realizing my completion is starting to really like mascara my face right now.
It's great. It looks great.
By the way, can we talk about how this happened? This is like so I was messaging all my friends who we had over tonight just to get them together and play some Magic, and I was messaging them saying, does anybody have any mascara? I really want to be like completed. For those of you who don't know too, the thumbnail is actually my face merged in with the we'll pull this up. That's like my eyes are like in there as well. So
I need to clarify this.
Oh yeah, come on in.
Because he specifically atted me because I'm the emo one.
That's right. You know, I did at one point at you, and I was like, "Come on, you've got some mascara somewhere, right? Like, help a brother out." There was no mascara. That's the TLDR here. There was no mascara. I couldn't find any mascara in my house, and so Papa got creative. I went outside. I got myself some charcoal from our fire pit, and I mashed it up. I was like an alchemist, yeah. And you were like, you need to add some oil to it. So we added some avocado oil to it, and then added a little bit of what was it, masa, like corn flour.
Oh, really?
To like thicken it up. And then I just painted it onto my eyes. And I have so much of it left. I mean, way too much, dude.
Do I need to get completed? Is there more oil?
It is an option. You two can complete yourself whenever you want, dude. Fucking do it, dude. Yeah,
I'm feeling really
yes! We're getting completed, chat. Fuck yeah. Oh, Phyrexia is so lit. Okay, so we got the Bladegraft Aspirant getting us all hyped on this. And look at how much I made. This is like such an unreasonable amount of this. This is literally just charcoal from the fire pit with like avocado oil and corn masa. I've never done anything like that before. That was really fun though. Like it was like globbing it on and like I'm like doing makeup for the first time.
I'm gonna try and do this on freaking stream.
Fuck yes, let's go.
Using this little thing. So
if we don't get a super chat for that, I don't know what does. Honestly, that yes. Here, we'll get the mirror for you from the bathroom.
Right now I'm using the
There we go. There. If that helps.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So moving on from this one while Zach gets himself nice and completed.
I was feeling incomplete.
Yeah, incomplete. Oh, ba-doom-psh. All right, good. This is good. This is a good thing. Okay, so some other cards here. The next card. This is some serious shit right here.
Ooh.
What?
I didn't notice this one.
Pray tell, what commander cares about being targeted in red?
Zada. Oh my god, that's so good.
This is fundamentally disgusting in Zada.
Yeah.
This is a big pump spell that also exiles cards that you can play until your next turn.
Oh shoot! I did not even.
This is reckless impulse.
I misread that.
Yeah. So if you have like 7 creatures in play and you play Zada and you Blazing Crescendo, you copy it for every single one of those. They all get +3/+1, which is like there is not a single like very few of the pump spells in Zada pump for a lot at instant speed while also drawing you cards. This is very, very unique. This is, Jin Shooting Star says, this is basically a huge galvanic relay to Zada. Yeah, and this is like, this might make Zada something that like needs to be like reapproached again because, and I know I did that for a while. I was working with Stein on kind of getting Zada into a place where you have like a lot of ramp and you've got lots of creatures and stuff. And this right here is nuts. I mean, the fact that you can play until your next turn means that you can have it really helps feed the idea of several goes.
Yeah,
We want to have
yeah.
many goes throughout the game because Zada will die. The moment you cast your first sorcery speed draw spell, somebody is going to kill it. That doesn't stop you from drawing the cards. So what you do is you cast an instant speed draw effect like this on the stack with that removal spell. You get all these cards.
And
you
still get
find
to
the
kill
one.
players.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
So like
people are still gonna die.
they're
with
gonna
this
die
card
to this.
results.
They're gonna actually die to this, right? Like the way Zada needs to be done is that like you need to have a lot of mana to be able to cast and recast Zada and over again, and you need to be able to make a lot of bodies. And when you go, you want to have like 2 effects. Generally speaking, you're going to want to cast your Scry effect first or your sorcery speed draw effect, one of the 2.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then when they go to kill it or counter it or whatever it is, then you go instant speed draw, and then off of that draw, then you get your other draw spells, right?
Yeah,
So like a common
Chaining
you chain and then
4 of
right.
these together.
Because
and
we
draw
want
30
to
cards.
yeah, right, because like Zada dying doesn't matter if the whole board, if all of your stuff
If you're
got
still dead.
double strike plus 12 plus 5 and like trample, you know, like that's what we want to do. So this is huge, okay?
Yeah.
And if this is
absolutely.
any indication of more cards that we're going to get, that is a good sign for Zada decks, which
Yeah.
don't see play right now, which
Yeah. It's sad.
it's sad.
Like-
Zada's a very powerful commander.
Yeah.
There's a code to crack there, though. I don't even feel like I necessarily cracked it with Stein's help, like because I play tested it and I was able to do some pretty cool stuff with it. But I just ultimately felt like a lot of the things that I had to cut were things that make a deck just function properly, like lands.
Yeah.
But what you don't want in Zada is to draw a bunch of lands off of your stuff.
Right.
And maybe that doesn't matter if we just play more looting effects where we can turn those lands into something, but it's hard to say. So this is great. Play this in your Zada deck. It's going to be insane. This is also just a draw spell, which is kind of interesting too.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's any red like heroic creatures or any other like type of cards.
You know what? Levon might like this. It's a draw spell with a pump at instant speed.
Sure.
That could play there. It could be that maybe, maybe like in a Dargo Keleth kind of a build where you want like pump spells that also draw. That could like see some play.
Yeah.
I love how it's dripping, dude. That's awesome. We're getting completed. It's great. So Blazing Crescendo is great. Okay.
For all of you who haven't been completed, you should try it.
You should try
just,
digging some charcoal up.
A little bit of Phyrexian oil.
A little bit of Phyrexian oil will go a
it's pretty good
long
for you.
way, chat. It's good for you.
Just join us.
Yeah, it really reminds me of that line from Weird Al Yankovic. It's called Albuquerque, where it's where he goes, where he's like, stuck a funnel in my mouth and made me drink nothing but sauerkraut till I was 23 and a half years old. He's like, stop feeding me sauerkraut, and he's like, it's good for you. It's like Phyrexian oil all over the place. Okay, cool. So next cards we've got Branch Blight Stalker. This is insane in Finn. This is great. Toxic 2 on a 3/1 for 2. And that's
Pretty
great. Yeah, it's awesome.
good.
Yeah, this does the thing, and it's Phyrexian Elf Scout, which means it is creature Phyrexian Elf Scout. Because Embiggen, right? Super type, subtype, and so is that +4 plus?
This would be a +4. Yeah.
Okay. Not that the damage matters, but maybe as a protection spell, it would be useful there.
Right, because it's 3/1.
This is another card that's like really good in Tainted Observer. Just 2 mana counter spell. In a lot of cases.
It's reasonable to play beforehand because before that.
It's
the
miscalculation.
trigger is completed, you're in the early game. You're in the early stages of the game, and 2 mana is likely to actually counter a spell.
Yeah, this scales up. We've got Thanatos saying, I want Zada player to lose because of this card. So what you're asking for,
Exiling
Thanatos...
the rest of their deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if they exiled their whole deck, they play a haste spell. And their team of 20 creatures
kill
you.
I mean, what I found in Zada is when you properly go off, it is not hard to deck yourself at all. Like if you like, it's just crazy. Like you really just don't need much. So that card will definitely help with your fantasy Thanatos of decking yourself in Zada. Okay, we've got this one here, Carnivorous Canopy. So what we're going to see is a lot of cards with Proliferate on them that are worse than a card that already exists, but because it's Proliferate, there's going to be certain specific decks, and I'm really looking at Tainted Observer, but it also would be like Finn, that are going to care. So Carnivorous Canopy is 3 mana, sorcery speed, target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying, destroy it. But if its value is 3 or less, you proliferate.
I actually love this card.
These effects are really good. Flying creatures are all over the format right now.
Yeah.
This is in addition to you're getting a proliferate. So killing a Whisper Silk Cloak, killing a Cranial Plating, killing an altar of Ashnod's Altar. It doesn't get Pestilence. It does destroy with an Oubliette.
It does destroy Pestilence.
So it does, but you just don't get the proliferate.
You don't get the proliferate.
Right.
Fine.
So that's fine.
That's a totally acceptable trade.
Right. So what I'm suggesting here is that this card is most of the time it's going to proliferate.
Yeah,
I think in a lot of cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Kill the Peregrine Drake, which is good. It doesn't kill the Peregrine Drake when it matters, but yeah.
I play Broken Wings in most of my green decks.
Yeah, Broken Wings is really, really good. You also play Clip Wings, which is also
Clip Wings
really good
is a great card.
Yeah,
if you're not playing that, you should play it.
Clip Wings is great.
Always 2 for 1.
Mass Edict in green just
it
turns
always
out.
gets the important creature.
Yeah.
And it always 2 for 1s.
So this is going to be great. We're going to see this in any of the green-based decks that care about poison counters. They will just play. I don't like that it's a worse effect in a way that's better in another way, because the sorcery speed really is a bummer. But the proliferate matters, and proliferate when you only need to do that 10 times, or get 10 counters is good.
Yes, proliferate is good on poison counters. I would argue that it is better on not thing just +1 counters, right? You have Herd Bala.
I forgot about this, but yeah, we gotta go take a look at this. The proliferate shit in green is gonna pump this deck to the fucking moon.
Yeah. Yeah. Your initiative creature, you have a forged creatures. Just putting +1 counters on your things and making everything that little bit bigger.
Yep.
And winning every combat.
Yeah, it's really good. And Hamza decks are going to want this proliferate as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, these proliferate effects are really, really good. It's just that they do balance them by making them worse in some other way, like having sorcery speed, which is that tension between synergy and just good cards. And I'm always wary of cards that are you get this extra thing, but because of that, it's a worse card, but it's good in the deck. I got to be careful, right? About that.
I think the proliferate has just a lot of reach. It's broad,
Yeah.
The reach of proliferate is not that tied to this set.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Unlike a lot of the other mechanics in this set.
Yeah.
Proliferate is one that I think every set has some counter on.
Some amount of counters. Also, proliferate is also amplifying the number of counters on your Everflowing Chalice, and that is going to get out of control. For the first time ever, you're going to be probably on the channel regularly seeing people getting up to 6, 7, 8 mana on that. That's going to be good enough to play Trinket Mage just because of it. Trinket Mage will not get lands. It will always get always get Everflowing Chalice. Play it on 1, and it's going to get bigger and bigger throughout the game. You just never get locked out of your commander. It's going to be gross. Okay, next one. Very hype on this card. Also, really funny art. If I just I can't.
I don't like that they have human teeth.
Oh yeah, see, this is the thing that you have to understand. The teeth is just really unnecessary. Why did they have to have teeth? Why did they have to have human teeth?
Yeah.
The body horror is so fucking real in the set. Teeth on things that aren't supposed to have teeth, long rows of teeth along things that aren't a mouth. It's really hardcore. Heavy breath. Charge of the Mites is amazing. This is a new white staple. Okay, 3 mana, instant speed removal in most white decks. Okay, this is probably going to be a bolt. It also hits planeswalkers. Just want to mention that too when that matters. It also makes creatures instant speed. They don't block, which sucks, but they're artifacts. This is going to be incredible in a lot of contexts.
I really like this card.
Yeah. This
do
just does the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just gets there.
Bodies. they're artifacts. I think like I was looking at this for Great Desert Prospector early game. You just like throw this out to get a couple of creatures, and then when you play your Great Desert Prospector, that means all of the all of the. We'll bring this one up here. Great Desert. It generates Power Stone tokens for every creature in play. So you do want to have some like tokens and things like that. So. Jen Shooting Star says, finish the video. Yeah, Jen's working on a CEDH list of cards that are coming from the set. So it says it's past 1 a.m. I need to sleep. Yeah, I know you work hard, dude. So I hope you get some sleep and hope you wake up refreshed. But thanks for stopping in, my dude. Appreciate it. And completed. Yes, refreshed and completed. Yeah, that's right. So this Charge of the Mites is great. I think this is actually like very staple. Also note too. Choose one.
Yeah.
You don't have to announce which mode you're using. When you are going to cast this card, you only announce it when it's resolved. It's like Miracle's Edict. It has to resolve for you to choose.
Huh.
So what's really interesting about this is that once it resolves, you choose your target and there's no responding to it.
Yeah.
This is not uncounterable, but you do not have to tell people what you are targeting until it resolves. Miracle's Edict is like one of the best edicts in the format because you cast it and it just says choose one. Like, or sorry, roll. It just says roll a dice, roll right? Yeah. So this is really interesting. You're just casting an instant speed spell and then it says choose one. So let me just make sure I'm not talking out my ass here. Miracle. I know Miracles works this. So Miracle's Edict. Roll a d20. Maybe with choose one you do need to announce. Wait, am I wrong here?
I think
a braid is. Oh no, I'm wrong. Sorry, chat. I've been misleading you. Yep, I got excited, but that's not how that works. Miracle's Edict. The reason I commented on it is because it's roll a d20. Right. So you have to take an action before any resolution. So you don't choose. You only choose a player when you've rolled. So, anyways, I misled you on that. But either way, still, this is a 3 mana. It's just going to be a terminate in a lot of cases. You're just going to have creatures in play and you're going to kill something. Yep. And then in other cases, you'll just make some creatures that specific decks will want the creatures more, and other ones it's going to be mostly about the removal.
But both modes are playable.
And so you need to get the Monarch or the Initiative. End step, you just make some attackers.
Yep.
Right, and that's great. So good card. Okay. Got 4 mana, 3/3 here with haste, makes a 1/1 Phyrexian Goblin token, while it itself is a Phyrexian Goblin. Chrome Power, just 3/2 flash, tap something down. Got this one here. You can give it to something that's toxic, +2/+2, and draw a card. That's not going to be probably relevant. This Contagious Vorrac, though, I was looking at this. This has got a lot of text on it, wall of text. You look at the top 4, you reveal a land card. Doesn't need to be any specific kind of land. Put it into your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of your library. That's a May in random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand, you proliferate. So, and it's funny, you have to read a long ways to get to it. This is a 3 mana 3/3 that either gets you a land when you need it. So early game, you play this and you're like, just get a land. And then late game, you proliferate with it.
I love this in Sabretooth.
This is fantastic. Whoa, fantastic in Sabretooth.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, and Teamer Sabretooth, for those of you who don't know, just going to pull this up here. This is Zach's Piece de la Resistance. Incredible mono green. It doesn't really even fit into an archetype. It's just like its best comparison is like Tron and 60 card. It's green flicker is kind of what it is. But it's not. Really yeah. You just ramp really hard. You eventually take over the game. It's kind of like a control deck in the sense that you don't care how you're gonna win.
No.
Right. Like
I will get there eventually.
And you also aren't easy to kill
because I only need one card.
There's all sorts of cards like with Visionary, with Llanowar Visionary and stuff that you just draw a lot of cards. The Revolt one that also does that too. So, anyway, so this is going to be great there.
Yeah, that's great.
Phyrexian Boar Beast is quite the text line there.
It's a sizable body for the
cost. It could have been a 2/2. It could have been 4 mana. It's not. It's a 3 mana 3/3. Right. Copper Longlegs. This is great. This is a 2 mana 1/3 with Reach. Reach is pretty relevant right now. Proliferate. You can sack to proliferate at instant speed. So this card can buff your team at instant speed. It can add counters at instant speed. This is very interesting. It could go in Fin potentially if you just want like another way to proliferate, because it does have a lot of counters as well as infect counters. So maybe just like it's not an infect creature, it's not a toxic creature, but it does actually proliferate them, which might be worth it. So I don't know. Yeah, Crawling Chorus just joins a long list of 1-mana 1/1s that make a body when it dies. The toxic here largely doesn't matter. These creatures have not traditionally seen any play, but we have enough of them now that are like functional replints. We've got Hunted Witness, we have Doomed Traveler, we have like the Garrison Cat. There's a whole bunch of them that are just 1-mana 1/1s that have another body. We might eventually hit a critical mass of those with a commander that cares.
There are a lot of
like what if
creatures, Orzhov aristocrats.
Sure, I mean if they
are eventually going to hit that critical
like
mass.
Eliasen Core probably likes this actually, and you just don't care about the toxic. It just literally doesn't matter here. But it's just another body that makes another body, so that's good. Cool. Moving on from there, I don't know why I like this card so much. It's just really fucking cool looking, I think, is part of it. It's 6 mana 5/5 Death Touch in black, which part of it is like 5/5 Death Touch in black is huge, but
the text was good, but the cost is not.
The cost is very expensive. Yeah, I think this is a little maybe potentially overcosted, but it is another card that discards cards from each opponent's hand. And if they can't, you actually gain life, which is really interesting. It's not awful. It's not uncastable because a lot of these black decks ramp really hard anyways. But the thing is my issue is that mass discard has not been working. It's not about Ashiok's Adept. It's about like I played it in a deck where you can reuse them real surreal. And it was like, why am I doing this right now? I just want resources for myself. It's much better to draw cards and even to scry than it is to discard cards from people's hands. There's weird knock-on effects when you start discarding cards from everybody because you start to take answers from people who might be helping you stop the combo player. And then you're responsible for it because you're the one that did it and because you're the one who's not losing cards. So, but it's a 5/5 Death Touch. The Death Touch is weird. It's like, why do they put Death Touch on big creatures? I don't understand this at all.
I never understood it.
It's such a goofy, weird WotC thing that they do. It's like,
stop. What's this not?
Stop
showing?
this. Stop it, WotC. This is really not the way you should design cards. It just feels like weird, feels like poor design.
It does. Like, this already kills everything.
Yeah, it kills. I don't know. Like, what are we trying to tango with? Something huge? Like, maybe. I don't know.
Like, there are, I've definitely had board states where the things wouldn't die to a 5/5, but like, any other keyword would have done more.
Okay, so we've got Dross Skullbomb. This one also, again, tutorable with Trinket Mage. 1 mana, you can just cantrip it to draw a card. It returns a card from your graveyard to your hand, a creature card, and then it draws a card. So this is technically 1 mana to play, and then it's on board 3 mana draw 2.
It's pretty good, like a
It's not bad.
card.
It's not bad. Yeah, that's actually, it's not awful.
It's like a slightly worse.
Activate as a sorcery is just like so sad, though. I just like.
What's the card I'm thinking of?
Blood Fountain.
Blood Fountain.
So this is similar to Blood Fountain in a sense.
It just doesn't get you to artifacts, which is like the main reason.
That's true. The you get the blood token is really good. Yeah. This here though does do it for a little bit cheaper. It's 4 mana on Blood Fountain. It does cost a black in Blood Fountain. And this one gets a card back and draws a card at the same time. So comparable to Blood Fountain. Maybe this decks play it, but I don't know.
Blood Fountain is one of the best cards in that deck.
It is.
So like it might see a home there. Is what I'm thinking.
Okay, so we've got that there. We've got Dune Mover here. This will go in Fin. It's just a colorless toxic card that'll go in there. It finds a basic land when you when it ETBs and you put it on top. So it's pretty bad, but the deck is hungry for toxic. You could fail to find. That is an option. Yeah, you cannot do that.
Just so you know.
Yep, just so you know, you might choose to fail to find that. Experimental Augury. This is another one of those cards where it's like, this is going to be so gross and so good in a deck that's otherwise a Peregrine Drake Flicker deck, which is the Tainted Observer. Tainted Observer is like coming package made with so many cards that make it good. Like it would have been good without all this proliferate. And now I worry. I'm concerned. Experimental Augury is great. And the funny thing is Experimental Augury will play in more decks, and it'll play in decks that don't care about proliferate. It's just a 2 mana, it's just an Anticipate. It's another Anticipate.
Right. Which is like fringe playable.
Yeah, it is. Like combo decks will play it, right? Like Impulse, Anticipate. They want to be doing this at their end step so they can hold up counter magic. I have Malcator as another one. This one is a 3 mana, scry 2, and it ETBs. Whenever you play another artifact creature or another artifact ETB, you're making it into a 4/4. So this is functionally in decks that care about it. This is a 3 mana 4/4 that scries 2. It's like very above the curve.
Doesn't die to edicts.
And it doesn't die to edicts, and it doesn't die to sweepers in a lot of cases. Yeah. So there's stuff to like here. You can also flicker this with Ghostly Flicker. That's another thing you can do with it. Like it's just like weird sideline stuff that you can do. You can sack it to Deadly Dispute. There's stuff. Okay, so we got that.
We're only have Fs.
Yeah, we're not making super fast progress here.
That's fine.
We got you can put 2 oil counters on all of your Zada creatures for whatever that matters. I don't think it does, but if there was something that says like ETB do damage to a player for every oil counter in play, then we would say, okay, well if I'm going to draw my deck, then I can do that. But I don't know, probably fringe. Furnace Skull Bomb is terrible. You put oil counters. This one here has 2 oil counters. It's 5 mana. You give things haste by removing counters, but it's like you don't want haste giver at 5.
Nope.
It's terrible. This one here, if it enters when it enters the battlefield, you may tap it. If you do, proliferate, and it's a 4 mana 2/5. So ETB proliferate, but you have to tap down your blocker. It is a wizard, which means it's tutorable, with like step through and with variety of other things. It's just another proliferate card. 2/5 is really huge. That's a big creature. So Kryn Finland saying, I'm tempted to play the proliferate, anticipate, and Lagrella. Could give me a beatdown plan. Yeah, absolutely, because Lagrella is putting +1/+1 counters on things. You can proliferate them and make them bigger. We should also remember that proliferate can make other people's stuff bigger too, which
smaller.
Or smaller.
Rarely. If it's a -1 counter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You know, it's funny. The proliferate's also a counter to the first day of class combo. Right? Because you can proliferate the counter at the key moment where
when the creature enters, it enters with. So
with
yes,
a +1. Yeah.
It enters with the -1 with persist. So enters with and then would trigger the first
add the -1.
So yes.
So put another -1 on it and kill it. Yeah, that's interesting. Very fringe, but it's something to think about. Glittering Seer is like bad, but it's a 1 mana 0/3. And the deck that cares about this is Rasad. Rasad Sword Coast Sailor. This is a 1 mana 0/3 that can scry. The scry is just doesn't matter, but it's like it's a 1 mana 0/3. It's a 1 mana 3/3.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's Tarmogoyf Freight. You know, it's like tell me about why you like this, right? We've got the Gold Warden's Helm. This is another Brunner Battlehammer card. Like it's coming in as a 3 mana 2/3. Which is a little bit below rate from the previous one, and the equip is a little bit more expensive. But again, this is just drawing. It's kind of like drawing a card. Right? We're getting 2 cards on one. We're getting equipment and a body. The rebel creatures are red. That's kind of interesting. They're always red. So yeah, this is a good one. Definitely good. Okay. This one here, ETB or dies proliferate. It's just that none of the black. We didn't see any. There's no black commanders that are doing infect, right?
Not infect, but there are black
poison?
creatures. I don't think the poison counters is where this card is.
Okay, so we're proliferating counters.
+1 counters.
What black deck cares about that?
Corpsejack Menace, which is another side project I've been working on.
Corpsejack Menace. Okay. Corpsejack. Yeah, it's one word. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control twice that many. Oh, so this is actually why aren't you just doing
Winding Serpent.
Winding Constrictor?
Constrictor. Because it doubles. That one adds 1. That one doubles.
Both of these decks are super real after this set.
Yes.
Okay.
Proliferate with Winding Constrictor is your team
it already
gets
has
2 +2/+2.
So if 1 would be put on, so you get 2 counters on everything basically.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that card with an Undying effect and a sack outlet is +2/+2 +2/+2 +2/+2. So you get 6/6 on your whole team with that card.
With which one?
With this card, if this dies and you Undying Evil it,
Oh my god, that's so much.
It dies, which means it proliferates.
Everything.
It comes back and proliferates again.
And
so
it proliferates itself.
And it proliferates itself with a +1
and then
counter.
it proliferates everything again.
Yeah. So you have a 6/6.
Okay.
And your whole team's +2/+2.
Importantly, too, it's a 5 mana 4/4 in black. This is just a big, good creature. It's just
good
big.
Creature.
Yeah,
I
like
this card is somewhat real.
Yeah, no, that's super real. And it was one that I'd looked at before too, and thought, okay, there's something there.
This is the best card for.
This is as good
Finn.
as it gets for Finn.
Yeah.
Like it's not only putting poison, but
you
like
get poison 3.
And yeah, exactly on a 1/3. It's like it's durable. It's on rate. This is good. Okay, so moving on from there, we've got Infectious Inquiry would be another one. This is you give somebody each opponent gets a poison counter. This isn't proliferate. This is like you get a poison counter.
Mm-hmm. This is what starts.
This is what begins it, right? So this is interesting as well. And it's also this is just a 3 mana draw 2 for 3. It's
very
classic
playable
black
card anyways.
Yeah. Black always plays these. Okay, this one was one that I wanted to look at. I wanted to bring attention to this one. Yeah, we got a new core Skyfisher in town, but
another permanent. Okay.
Yep, return another permanent. This is great though. Being able to reuse ETBs like the Initiative, like the Monarch. There's a lot of powerful white ETBs out there, like a Stonehorn Dignitary, and its body is very reasonable. And when you do, you make another body. It's so weird. Like this text line could have just been when it enters the battlefield, you may return a permanent to its. You control. Yeah. So, like this would have been fine without making the 1/1, but it does. It makes a 1/1, which is really cool.
Yeah.
This is amazing in Great Desert Prospector because you can pick up the Great Desert Prospector. You make a body, you make 2 bodies, and then you play it again with all the mana that you've got, right? So this is great. Okay. This is oil counters, doesn't matter. This one here, untap. No, this one. Okay, this is another Brunner Battlehammer. Ward 2, 3/2 for 3. As long as it's equipped, it gets +1/+1. I think this is a card that like. So we can. We load it up with our equipment. It's like harder to target. It's just like a little more resilient. It gets a little bigger. It is above rate. It will be equipped, so it's going to be a 4/3 for 3. That has Ward 2.
Also, the Rebel creature type is coming back.
Rebel.
There are some like nearly playable Rebels, but there were never not for PDH because there just wasn't density. But we're getting a density now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It might be a thing to play.
That's a good one. Malcator's Watcher is getting some attention. It's a strict upgrade on Surveilling Sprite and on Augury. It's not Augury Owl, but there's an owl that's a 1/1 flyer that draws a card when it dies. This one here is an artifact. It's got vigilance as well. There's been some talk about putting, I think Thanatos was talking about putting this in Rilsa Rail. Vigilance is good in that deck. However, we never really came, there was like one time where we put Surveilling Sprite and the owl in, but we decided that we would prefer to have ETB value than death value.
Yep.
And it
that tracks.
Yeah, it does. I think that's a reasonable take on this kind of a thing. But it is vigilance, and if you suit it up with a cranial plating, then that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Okay. Award for the most disturbing art in the set is Mandible Justicar.
A lot of teeth where teeth don't go.
This is what I was talking about. Too many teeth. The teeth are really long. There's hands at the end of the mouth. The mouths are on the hands. There's so many. And look at the description. While one mouth feeds, the other chatters mindless paeans to the Elish Norn's glory. I hate this so much. I like the body horror in the set. The teeth thing, though, is really sets me off. It's really gross. This card, alongside Great Desert Prospector, is really silly. If you make 7 or 8 Power Stones.
Yeah.
And this actually could see play in Pauper in 60 card.
Yeah.
2 mana, 2/1 lifelink. All the artifacts coming into play, lands included, or buffing it up, and it's +1/+1. This is going to attack after you play out Great Desert Prospector as probably an 8/8 or something, 8/7 or something. It's going to be huge. So very cool card. Artifact itself as well. It's a cleric. That's kind of interesting. Okay. This is another Skull Bomb. It's just a giant growth that draws a card with Trample. The Trample is good. But yeah, I don't know. Maze's Mantle. This will probably see play in the It could see play. No, it's not going to see play. Never mind. I was thinking that the Tainted Observer, but I think we just play counter spells, right? Like,
yeah, the +2/+2 isn't terrible, but
it would play in the big 6/7 Toxic 6.
Yes,
that's where it sees play.
It there.
Yeah, because it's flash. That's the key thing. Yeah, you play it there, but that's it. But it's only hexproof until end of turn. I don't know. It's pretty. It's pretty bad. Okay. Meld Web Curator. Somebody pointed this out in Discord. That you can put instants and sorceries on top of your library.
Okay.
I think when it's a 3/4, which is really good. It's a wizard, so it's tutorable. Putting it on top is not nearly good as an Archaeomancer, but it's not bad. With Tavern Brawler decks, you put it on top, and then you can flip that card. So if you're playing Tavern Brawler, you can put like a Treasure Cruise back on top, and then +8/+0.
There are decks that are playing Biblioplex.
But Biblioplex is colorless. That's why they play it, right? Yeah, exactly. That's the key. How many of those decks are blue? None of them. Yeah. But this is a 3/4, so there is that. It could just be seen as kind of like a good value creature. Okay. This is another proliferate effect. You tap down, you ice something.
I like this card.
Ice proliferate. It's probably just like another card you play in the fucking Tainted Observer deck. Yeah. Like it's just another kill spell, right? And this one proliferates. It's just there's so many of these cards fall into that category of like, this is good in Tainted Observer. This is good in Brunner. Like you know, like again, like here's another one.
Yeah, I think that the reach on proliferate is not just Tainted Observer, is not just...
That's like, true. It goes beyond that. Gilder
Baron
Baron. I just feel like they're like it's less clear what those things are. Yeah. They'll evolve over time, but like from a first glance, it feels a little bit like that. Yeah. It's not exactly accurate, but 5 mana, 4/3 Vigilance with Equip for 4. This is getting a little pricey.
Brunner can do it because the equip is free.
Yes, and its vigilance is also like pretty good. Right. I think you still probably, I don't know, maybe it might. It's possible there's just better cards. For that slot.
It's questionable even in the deck where it breaks it.
Even in the deck that breaks it, that's the bad sign. Yeah. Okay, we've got a Mirror Tutor, Mirror Kinsmith, 4 mana, 3/1. Search for a mirror card.
Changelings.
Yeah, changelings. And you know what's also a changeling? Nameless Inversion. You can actually tutor for a removal spell with this. For those of you who don't know, Nameless Inversion. It is a shapeshifter tribal changeling that bolts something for 2. It is also a pump effect. I really like this card. And by the way, this is the worst card that they could have ever printed as a promo. I have this promo myself because it has so much strange text. It's like it's a shapeshifter, it's a tribal instant, it's a changeling, and like I don't know. You know, it's one of those weird cards where it works with cards that say mirror card or zombie card, but it doesn't work when it says creature card because even though it's a shapeshifter that has all creature types, it is not a creature. Never ever should they ever have printed this card on a textless. This is almost like trolling people. Like it's like Cryptic Command, where it's like there's all these options.
A troll, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's Lorwyn.
It's a changeling.
It is
it's a troll.
Bingo. And Crib Swap. Actually, that's a really good point. Yeah. You also find Crib Swap, and this is probably more likely is to find Crib Swap. Crib Swow.
I can't spell. Like if you're playing these, I think like if you can play both, I think you do.
Yep. And having a tutorable removal spell on a card that is otherwise looking for Mirror Retriever, because that's really what this card is going to be doing. Yep. Right? You're looking for Mirror Retriever to do Ashnod's Altar Mirror Retriever loops. Having a tutor for that combo is great. Like it didn't have it before, now it does. Yep. If you were in black, you could do the you could do Shred Memory. If you're in blue, you can muddle the mixture to find it. But like This is ETB. You just do it, and I think that's great. Puts it into hand.
And I think that there probably are a couple of extra mirrors that are semi-playable.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of which ones we would be. Oh, let's go down the rabbit hole. Rarity common type mirror. Mri. Okay.
Ironclaw mirror in the right deck, in a Finn deck, or
Mirror Enforcer.
Oh, right.
Shit.
That's a very
good
playable
mirror.
card.
That's a good mirror. Yeah, we like that one.
That's a good card.
Yeah, I think that's the only one other than Mirror Retriever, but that's kind of cool. So, okay, so let's read this as I have 4 mana, 7/5.
Yes.
Because we're assuming Mirror Enforcer is free. I think in its optimal scenario, it's free. So you top deck Mirror Kinsmith, you get Mirror Enforcer, and you put a bunch of power onto the battlefield. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. But the rest, Ichor Claw Mirror for Infect. Crib Swap is so sick to find off of Wizard Cycling as well. That's lit, dude. That's a nice Lagrella interaction there.
Also, with the Proliferate, this Knighted Mirror is actually pretty good. If you
whenever you put counters as double striking?
Yeah. If you can proliferate every turn, that's just a 3/3 double strike, then a 4/4 double strike.
That's fantastic. I like this a lot. Okay. Yeah, this set's a lot more powerful than I thought. There's a lot more going on here. Offer Immortality. Okay. Second card that reads the exact same. The first one was Battle Rage's Blessing. Battle Rager Blessing, instant speed, indestructible death touch. This is really, really, really good in Conductor of Cacophony, because potentially Crypt Rats, because Crypt Rats is in particular because you gain indestructible, so you can't kill your own thing
twice. Yeah, Crypt Rats for 1 kill everything.
Ooh. And the reason I say for Conductor is it doesn't hit itself, but you use it as a protection spell. So it's a protection spell or a board wipe, which I think is worth knowing that there's 2 of.
And just it's another card that gives indestructible to your commander. These effects are pretty playable.
And indestructible is quite a bit better than the other black effects too, in the context of combat damage, because the other ones take it out of combat when it returns it to the battlefield. So I think that's something to keep in mind with this. I like this card a lot. The art's also really cool too. It's very veiny and sinewy and stuff. Okay, so this one here, it's just a 3/4 for 4. If you have a foil counter draw card, it's worse than. Don't play this card. Yeah, this is not good. Good talk. Yep. Very nice. This one here, 2 mana evasive toxic creature.
I like that card.
Yeah. This is very similar to Flenser Might, except that instead of lifelink, it has flying, and flying is really good.
There's a 1/1 for 2 Infect Flyer.
Yeah, that's right. Well. There's another. Yeah, so this is actually just a duplicate of that, except that it's toxic instead of Infect.
Which means you can't buff it. So.
Yeah, that's true. That is a little bit worse. What is this here? Oh, wow. So this one here, whenever it's tapped, each opponent who has 3 or more counters loses a life. Oh, but they have to have counters. Oh, this is so
3
bad.
Poison counters.
That would be so good if it was just a mana rock that did damage to people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would be...
So good.
So good.
Yeah. Plague Nurse here. This one gives toxic. Each other creature with toxic. Each other creature you control with toxic gains toxic 1, so they gain more toxic. It's toxic 2 for itself, so it probably still goes in Finn, because Finn is reaching. Finn is reaching for cards. It's not.
Yeah. Finn's gonna play all the toxic creatures anyways, right? All the ones that aren't 7 mana.
Yeah. It's not great.
No.
Planar Disruption. This card is super, super staple white card. Tutorable with Heliod's Pilgrim. This is a 2 mana.
No, this does not counter affinity.
One moment here. We had a little stream interruption. Looks like my OBS did something funny. Okay. Are we back here? Okay, good. Cool. Sweet. So yeah, good card.
Good card is good.
Yep. No. Okay, so prolonged Phyresis. I think you're back.
This is the card that
Yeah,
I want so badly in Tainted Observer.
dude. Yeah, this is nuts. Yeah, sorry, y'all. It didn't crash. It just disconnected for a moment. I'm not sure why my bitrate is so low. One moment here. Am I coming? Are we coming through crisp or is it choppy? Let me take a look here. What I'm gonna do is chilling. Okay, cool. So I think we're back. We've got okay. Looks like our bit rate's back to normal. Choppy. I've had issues with this in the past. Okay, looks like the bit rate is stabilizing. There may have just been like a lag spike in my area, but I think it looks like it's coming through at about the normal 4,000 kbps. So cool. Well, we'll push on ahead and we'll try and finish this so we don't have any more issues here. We got prologue to Phyresis. Yeah, everybody gets a poison counter. This is how it starts.
This is how it starts.
Tainted Observer might
This
I mean,
is why you would
good.
run Muddle of the Mixture in that
It's
deck.
so good. It's so
Like,
good. If you can't hit anybody, then you just tutor for this and you just start. You just start it.
Yep.
And you get the counter. There you go.
And Doom Clock is at 1.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. This is great. Love it. Cantrips too.
Yeah.
Replaces itself. Yeah, we are getting a little bit of lag issues. I'm not really sure why. So, anyways, we're gonna try and finish this up. We got this one can untap once. It's not very good.
You can tap it to put an oil counter on it.
So you can do.
tap it again to untap.
So if you can, land has enough mana because you freed from the reel.
If it makes 3 mana, you're good.
This is another untapper.
Yeah.
Oh shit, the bit rate's tanked. I don't know why it's doing that. It's like fluctuating really wildly right now. I wonder if I have let me just make sure I don't have my VPN on. Puzzle just says, just got done drafting some bro. I'm here now. How's the review going? It is going great. I'm so glad to have you here, Puzzle. Thanks for joining us. I got my buddy here, Zach Brewbear, who you probably recognize the name from the channel, doing a little set review. Yeah, Corinne, High Tide do go burr. I just want to let you all know we're getting a little bit of inconsistency in the bit rate right now, and I'm not really sure why that is. And and I don't have anything I can currently do about it, except for maybe I can close some tabs here. Yeah, I'll do that. Search result. Stream elements can go away. Yep, leave like that. We're gonna push through and see if we can wrap up. So okay. So this Rustvine Cultivator, if you have a land that taps for
At least 2 blue.
At least 2 blue.
So Overgrowth doesn't work, but add 2 mana of any
Okay.
color.
Yeah. So if you make enough mana on a land, then you can use the oil counter to untap the land, untap it with the freed from the reel, and then we can tap it to put the oil counter on.
Untap it again with.
Oh, so you actually need to make quite. So it does have some.
Yeah.
So one to.
You need to untap it twice to have it freed from the reel.
Okay.
So it's 3 mana. At least 2 of it has to be blue.
Yeah. So this is another untapper.
Yeah.
That's actually probably very reasonable. It's more hoops, but it's not awful. Yeah. This one here was really exciting to me. 4 mana, 2/4, which isn't fantastic, but 4 toughness is relevant. It has evasion and it has toxic too. So
kills you in 5 hits.
Yep.
I guess.
Yep. And so yeah, something to look at. I don't know where the home is for this. Man, we are just like, it is just tanking. I wonder if my phone is also seeing that as well. Crazy. Anyways, Sawblade Scamp is another one here. This is a 1-mana 1/1 haste. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it, and then we can tap it to ping people. I think there's an immediate home for this in Torwauki, potentially, because it's like pinging for 2 every turn.
Yeah, I don't see it as much more than that.
Yeah, not much more than that. The fact that it's that you
It's
have
once a turn.
Yeah, once a turn, which sucks. So you could also potentially it's just it's pretty limited. Okay. We've got
That card's good in coal.
this one right here,
Shrapnel.
or the Shrapnel. Sacrifice a creature if you do destroy an artifact an opponent controls.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sacrifice one of your own creatures.
You sack your creature that's equipped, and then you equip this up.
Okay, got it.
The deck needs more sack outlets. Is its pinch point.
Got it. Sky Scythe Engulfer is another one that I wanted to mention. It's just a 6-mana 6/5 reach trample that doesn't get blocked by certain things, and it's a beast. It caught my eye just because it's so huge. And big creatures like this are not terribly common in Pauper at common. We have this one here. Whenever it's a 3-mana, when it dies, you make a 1/1 might. It has toxic. This is Deathbloom Thallid, but it has toxic, and it makes a toxic creature that can't block. So we have Surgical Spellbomb. It so badly wants to be Aether Spellbomb, but it just isn't. Its sorcery speed just kills this really hard.
The only reason would be that Trinket Mage can find it, but like
limited. We have Autonomous Furnace. We have this whole cycle of lands here. These are great for control decks. Because you want to be able to play your land out and then get a card off of it later on. I think that in mid-range potentially, but mainly control decks like Dross Pits will 100% be in my Thrill Parasite deck.
If you're okay with your land entering tapped because you're not planning on playing it out.
Mayhem Devil likes this a lot too, because you're like getting a trigger at instant speed, you're drawing a card. Pretty cool. So I think these are great. I think they're very comparable to like a Barrenmore. The only difference being that because Barrenmore you have to choose, is it going to be a land or is it going to draw a card? This is kind of having your cake and eating it too. You do pay the price. It is topped.
Now, but
so
let's draw later.
Thirsting Roots, this is so good. I love this. It's like proliferate or draw a card. It means that early game you just go get a land, late game you proliferate. It's going to be great in Herd Bailoff. It's going to be probably a Tainted Observer card.
Proliferate. Cards that say proliferate.
And then we've got Tyrannix Atrocity, Dinosaur.
It has haste.
It has haste. It's Toxic 3. I don't know. It's a big hasty boy. It's big and hasty. It doesn't have trample though. I don't know. This is just like whatever.
The numbers on top are awkward.
They are. Ooh, Vanish into Eternity. This one here. This is spoiled early. This card is white staple.
Absolutely.
White staple. Just hear my words on this. If you're playing white, you probably want this. The reason being is that it is exiling a non-land permanent. So this is 3-mana exile like problem cards. And then occasionally you're going to
Every once in a while you'll have to pay the 6 mana.
Every once in a while you have to pay 6 mana, but it's basically break ties that can hit creatures. I think it's great. This card is really, really good.
It's something white needs, right? White doesn't have great removal.
It doesn't have great removal. Yeah, it's very supremely flexible.
Actually,
you have removal.
You have lots and lots of enchantment and artifact removal.
To have it stapled onto a creature killer as well is what's good.
You can kill a creature with it.
You're not going to want to, and it's very expensive. But it's an option you have. Modality is really important on cards when you're playing. Modality is most important on cards that have a mode that isn't always on. Right. And that's it. You're not always going to need the disenchant, but you may need it. And the exile is important too. Okay, so we're almost to the end. Look at that. We got draw 3 cards, proliferate for 5. Slam dunk. So good. This is another draw 3 for 5. I can hear Noyark in the background just like, yes, let's go. This joins Big Blue. So the Big Blue does play some spells that are like 6 mana in some cases to draw 3. The
5 mana with an upside is
and the proliferate is always going to work with the ubiquitous Everflowing Chalice that is always going to be in those decks. I think this is great. This is super good.
Yeah, that's the best 5 mana draw 3 that we've gotten.
Yeah. Except for, well, yeah, 5 mana, draw 3. That's right. Yeah, because Secrets of the Golden City is the best draw, probably one of the best draw 3s. I feel like Treasure Cruise doesn't always play in decks, though, right? You don't always fill your graveyard enough to play Treasure Cruise. Right. So, we got 3 mana, instant speed, any target, proliferate. This is going to see play an Arcbound Shikari, which is this is something that Noyark's been playing. Arcbound, and when he played it, his board was just a bunch of like 5 and 8 and power creatures. It was crazy. So proliferating in this deck is great. You play this kind of mid game, so you're like playing out all your efficient artifact beaters, and then you play this, put counters on them, and then start proliferating. So that's pretty cool. So this will play there. Vraska's Fall is probably one of my favorite cards of the whole set. 3 mana instant speed Fleshbag Marauder that also gives poison counters. Holy shit. Ooh, this slaps. This is really good. And this is really very generically playable. The reason being is that like when you're playing a flicker deck, if you're in black, a lot of times, when you're playing a flicker deck, a lot of times you want to have a singleton effect that is a creature, or 2 cards for every effect that you want. So if you want an Edict, you want one that's a creature and one that's an instant or a sorcery, so that you can flicker loop to get that spell back, or you can flicker the creature. Vraska's Fall is the best instant speed Edict that we've... It hits everybody, right? And it hits planeswalkers at some point. That may be relevant. The poison part doesn't really matter that much. In certain decks, it will. In certain decks, it very much will. But this is going to play in every mid-range and control black deck out there. It's going to probably replace Rottide Garganta in a lot of cases.
You're not paying any cost to gain the poison counter.
No, you're not paying anything for it. It just happens. So Kryn says, UB Proliferate Teachings sounds fun in 60 card. Yeah, it sounds like something you could totally do. We are approaching the end here, which is great. Only a 2-hour stream, actually. It's not bad for a whole set of hundreds of cards. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Oh, here, look at this. Another was a 4/2. That's actually, this is better than the white one in a lot of ways because it's cheaper to equip. It's cheaper overall. You know, I think this is, I would probably pick this one over the white one pretty quick, but we still have to see whether, you know, like what room that deck is. But like if we think about that deck currently, the Brunner Battlehammer deck has cards dedicated to card draw. But what if instead of card draw, there were slots dedicated to cards like this? If you just went up and you were like, now my deck has like 4 more pieces of equipment in it, and they're all on creatures. A person might choose to do that.
I built a few equipment decks, and it always feels like a choice on do I play the equipment or do I play like that balancing act is a lot of what the deck has to the challenge is, and they just don't choose.
Well, maybe the other thing is instead of playing equipment that's only equipment, maybe we switch those out for these. That's another option too. So you just up your creature count, because really what you want in Brunner is to create that tension between killing Brunner and killing the things that's killing you. And you can't do both a lot of times, so you got to choose. And I like that kind of tension. Creating that tension for people is important. It's part of making a powerful deck. -1/-1 proliferate. I don't know. I mean,
yes, this card is going to see play.
Yeah, proliferate. We just have to think about proliferate beyond its sort of like infect, right?
If this gives 2 creatures +2/+2, this card's very good. +1/+1. If this gives a +2/+2 buff, I would play that card. It, and that's
look at that art too.
Expected.
Man, nice. Is that a Leonin or something? Live or die, you serve the Steel Thanes now. Oh, it's so good. So, well, anyways, I think that brings us, it looks like the internet issues leveled off, which is really good. We've had the same, I'm transmitting at about 4,000 kilobits per second. And there were moments there where it was oscillating between like 0 and like 11,000, which is so strange. I have crazy internet connection here. It's like really fast. But I have in the past had issues. I had it happen twice. I changed some things around and it should have fixed it. But so anyway, sorry for the disruption there for those of you that may have experienced that. But we have arrived at the end of the list here. And my conclusion is that I wrongly discounted the power of this set. There are some staple cards. There are some cards that make certain decks really good. There are some commanders that are decks in of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surprisingly solid. What are your thoughts on kind of how this whole set wrapped up for Pauper Commander?
Um, I, I think I am a fan of counters in general.
Yeah.
I started playing in Estrad. So one of the first decks that I bought was the Precon for the
Yep.
previous set, Mirrodin. I had a Infect deck.
Oh hell yeah.
And so I enjoy the mechanic of poisoning people.
Yeah.
And I think that Toxic is much slower. It's more of a control mechanic than a you know, I win now sort of
Yep.
turn 2 sort of explosion. But
Yeah, yeah.
I like the set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
There's
a
a-
fan of Proliferate.
There's a lot of just sort of like randomly good stuff here, like the offer immortality, the mirror thing, the equipment being good in Bruner. There's like all the proliferate stuff that plays in green too with Herd Baloth. Um, there's just there's a lot going on here, and so I'm eating my words a little bit on Discord and on Twitter about this. I think getting the full like set of cards and getting to see everything instead of just the drip fed stuff has like kind of changed my perspective on it, and I'm really excited to start playing with these cards. I've already made room for several of them in some of my decks. So in fact, for those of you that I now have Thrill Parasite, or wait, is this Rilsa? This might be Rilsa. Oh, this is Rilsa. Well, actually, Rilsa is gonna get the new Instant Speed Edict because that deck plays all the Edict effects and stuff. So, anyways, I think we can wrap it up here. Chat, super great having you all here. Thanks for sticking with us for the stream. For those of you who didn't see earlier, I recorded a 20-minute long video. So it's actually probably one of the shortest videos I've ever made. Just saying something on Sailor's Bane. So go check that out. If you've enjoyed the content and you've liked what you've seen here today, leave a like, do the free thing. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button to see more of the content that we're creating. And if you want to know when we're going live at odd times, like when I see a game going on and I want to cast it, or I see a game going on and I want to play in it, and I decide to go live, make sure to hit the bell icon right next to the subscribe so that you get notifications of when we're going live. The final thing I want to mention is if you want to support the channel financially, we now have a membership option. So if you go next to subscribe, there should be a join button there. And we have 4 different tiers you can join at, each of which promises you a number of amazing benefits for being a financial supporter of the channel. We'd really love that. Clay and I were talking about the fact that if every person in the Discord channel paid $1 into what we're doing to make this happen, that would be $460, and that would fundamentally change my life right now. So if you want to support what we're doing and support this community where you're able to play games with people from all over the world for free with the Moxfield Discord profile thing, consider subscribing and supporting the content that you're enjoying and watching right now. So I appreciate you all being here. It's been a wonderful time. I haven't done a set review like this since Brothers War, and this one feels like I'm really, really glad that I basically on a whim today I was like, now that the spoilers are out, I need to do a set review for this, even though I already had the Sailor's Bane scheduled for the day, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. It's gonna happen. Deuces. We got the double trouble. So yeah. Anyways, thank you all for your support. Thank you all for your participation. I appreciate you sticking around. And yeah, I think we're gonna sign off for now. Rock on, dude. Connoisseur is a fine common cardboard. You have a great night. Take care and peace out.